Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's Travis here with another video. I came on here to kind of discuss what happened in the flight and what's kind of been happening in my life a little bit more recently. So, you'll notice, different from my first video, I'm on the right side now. So I've been in this video I was practicing for my CFI check ride, which I have since passed. It took a couple of attempts, but I passed the check ride, so I feel pretty good about that. It was my first ever failure on a check ride, so I feel like it was good for me to experience that, and I don't think it's going to hurt me in the long run. In this flight, I'm just going to Elkhart, Indiana. I'm going from Bult, Charlie 56 to Elkhart. I think it's Echo Kilo Mike. You're going to have to check me on that. But it's near South Bend, and I know that one's Sierra Bravo November. Yeah, this is my little 150 that I like putzing around on. I just kind of fly around whenever I want. Right now it's down for some maintenance. It's got the annual coming up, so haven't been able to fly it in a bit, so I feel a little sad about that. But other than that, I love this plane. So when it comes to the check ride, there was a couple different things that I learned, lessons learned for sure. Number one is when you set up a check ride with a DPE, don't expect it to be the next week. CFI check rides are hard to schedule because it takes up the DPE's whole day, and they can't schedule 2 check rides that day. So they have to go out farther, and they have to block off their whole day for really a maybe. Something that I would recommend is pick a DPE that you know or have taken a check ride with prior. DPEs for CFI initials are kind of in a little bit of a short order now. They're not very common. Luckily, there's some younger DPEs that are getting to that capability, or newer DPEs that are getting that capability here, which is good. Another thing I just realized about this video is I'm looking a little bit more scraggly than I do now. My hair's a little bit longer, it's a little bit more well kept, and the beard is definitely, it's not there anymore. I got a mustache, so I felt like I needed to fit the stereotype for flight instructor. So I shaved everything off but the mustache. Next lesson learned about the check ride is be prepared for any question. I had a couple stumpers on my check ride. The main thing that I never thought I'd get asked was about carb heat. My DPE owned a 150 and a 182, and both of those are very susceptible to carb heat. Very susceptible to carb heat. So he wanted to know about carb heat. What happened? Could I use half carb heat? Do I use full carb heat? What was an intake? I think he called it an intake exhaust. No, an intake temperature gauge. I've never worked with one before, so my memory's a little bit fuzzy on it. So I'm not gonna, provide any instruction on that. But we talked about it for a bit, and I told him that I didn't really know if I would use half carb heat. I never really thought of that scenario. I've encountered a little bit of carb heat in this 150 that I'm flying here, but nothing that I'd ever be super concerned about and want to pull half carb heat. So that was a stumper on my check ride. Just be prepared for any question. Know your plane super well. I missed a couple questions because I was more familiar with the 172, and I incorrectly assumed that the 172 and the 150s were similar enough that I could just walk into the check ride without any problem. And then another thing that I would do is do a mock check ride before every check ride. There's always going to be things that pop up during a mock check ride that you don't really realize. And I think that kind of that hurt me a little bit. If I would have done a mock check ride, I think I would have been a little bit more prepared for the check ride. From instructing, the lessons I've learned, it's not really what I expected it to be. I really love it. I think it's a great career. It's one of my favorite jobs that I've ever had. And another thing is, knowing the answers isn't good enough. You need to know the why, and the why again, and the why again, and the why again. And offshoots that same question. You know your subject matter very well. And that goes to knowing your planes really well, especially the ones that you're going to be flying for your flight school. Getting to know your students and seeing how you click with students is going to be different for every student. So be capable of being both comforting and serious in all different types of scenarios. Something that I've learned is landings impress people. If you take someone up on an intro flight, you do a landing with them, and it's a good landing, I found that they're more likely to come back. Whereas if you kind of kerplunk it onto the runway, or you don't flare enough, or you're a little bit too high, it's less of an impressor. So I've been really working on my landings. Another thing is, don't expect 80 hours off rip. I kind of went into it expecting 80 hours off rip and 80 hours a month off rip. I definitely am not getting 80 hours a month. I find myself having a lot of free time. I can fill that free time with other stuff, like doing college work and stuff like that, but it's definitely been a bit of a challenge. Hey, pass Travis, land on center line. Jeez. Okay. Anyway, that's just some things that I encountered. Some future plans that I have. I'm going to get my CFI here in October. Hopefully getting that done. Doing training for that, again, has fried my brain. I didn't really think I'd ever get fried like I did in instrument again, but CFI has fried my brain again. My MEI, maybe, I don't know. Eventually I'll think about it. I want to hopefully get more students. I'm starting to volunteer at EAA and on-field activities. Just see what's around the field. Cruise around when you have hours off. Talk to people. See how they're doing. See what you can do for them. And then eventually I want to start going hiking a little bit more. I got a whole bunch of backpacking stuff now. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Something else I would do after passing your check ride is take a couple days off, decompress a little bit, think about it. Whether you pass or fail, don't just go right to work. Take a couple days, be nice and considerate to your own body and mind. I know me and my dad flew this Cessna to Ohio, and that was really fun. I really enjoyed that experience, and it was a good break for me. And I got to show my dad that all the work that I'd been doing was, it counted to something. And I don't know. I think it was pretty fun. I liked it a whole lot. And I got to see my grandma and grandpa and all that stuff. But yeah, it's pretty much all the advice I got for you guys. See ya!